Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to the Elevate with Erica podcast. I'm your host, Erica. I spent most of my life trying to do everything in the right order. You know, the things I was told would give me this great life, but it turned out not feeling so great. College, job, marriage, kids, I crushed that checklist, and I was stressed, living paycheck to paycheck, unfulfilled, tired, and I knew there had to be more to life than wishing away the week until Friday. I surrounded myself with people who were proof there was more to life than the one I was living, and that's what I'm here to do for you and with you. Do you need the inspiration to make big moves, to create a life that gets you excited? Are you ready to elevate yourself past your fears? Then elevate with Erica. Grab a bottle and get comfy, friends. It's time for some unfiltered advice. Hey guys, so it's been a few busy weeks since I recorded a podcast. I think the last time I recorded was before Punta Cana and before our camping trip to Deep Creek Lake. So I went from like all-inclusive resort to a tent in the rain. But both trips were a blast in their own ways. I am kind of glad to get back into some routine at home though. Today, I want to talk to you about how our thoughts shape our reality. And I want to start with this. Something really cool happened this week for my husband. He was promoted. Not something I've talked much about in my social, even though I'm super proud of him. But, it wasn't my business to share. And also, I had to give him a chance to be the first one to tell his family. So, this means that he moves into a new division and also his hours change. Leading up to this promotion and chit-chat of his potential change, he was so focused on what he was going to miss about what he was doing and who he worked with now. Something that comes very natural to me, though, and perhaps is one of my gifts I get to share with the world, is my ability to always see the positivity in situations right from the start. Sort of a survival mechanism I've developed through things I've been through. It doesn't mean I don't see the negative in situations. I think being able to see the negatives allows you to appreciate the positives even more so. So it may get on my husband's nerves or my friend's nerves, but if you tell me something negative, my mind is immediately working on its positive spin to push back to you. It's how I cope, push through, not live in negative spaces for too long. I've done nothing but root for him and point out what a blessing this is since we even knew it was a possibility he would be selective. I reminded him that every time he's been promoted or changed shifts, he's had these same thoughts and everything has propelled him to something greater. Growth is not comfortable. That's why so many stay stagnant. Everybody wants that 1% life, but few are willing to put in that 1% work ethic. I'm asking you today, what negative thoughts are you carrying with you every day without maybe even realizing it? Because negative thoughts are not just, today is going to be a bad day. I hate my job. I can't stand my spouse. I'm a terrible mom. Negative thoughts are not always that obvious. Have you watched someone achieve something you would like to and thought, well, they did that because they're lucky. They have this, that, and the other. I can't do those things because I'm busier, family genetics, financial situations. Have you created a story for why someone else has something and you don't in your head so that you get to stay stagnant? I was talking to my team the other day about mediocrity. I can make a social media post about a bad day, a rough week, and I'll have tons of comments, likes, DMs of everyone who can relate. And by the way, it's mostly women. Because women connect through struggles. I've talked about this before in the podcast. Women sit at tables where we can say who is the most tired, who has the worst husband, whose kids behave the worst, instead of tables where we celebrate accomplishments like men do. So I can make a post about a struggle I'm in and get that kind of big response. When I make a post about positivity, happiness, success in my business or a workout program, there's a lot more crickets. Why is that? I think 2 reasons. 1, it's proof that less people choose to live that 1% life because less people can relate. And 2, Mediocrity is celebrated and exceptional is frowned upon. So when you see someone doing well, do you make those excuses for yourself that I mentioned? Do you put them down, discredit the work they put in, or make excuses for yourself to make your life appear harder than theirs? Those are negative thoughts too. Why? Because they are holding you back. And the longer you sit in those kinds of thoughts, the harder it will be to see that there is better, that you can do better. I was listening to Trent Shelton's podcast this morning, and he said something that made me want to yell in the shower. Yes, I listen to a podcast every morning in the shower and a crime show podcast for my nighttime shower. But anyway, Trent said, progression is an ugly road that leads to a beautiful place. Greatness is the ugly boulevard that leads to a beautiful place. Damn, that is so true. I just got goosebumps saying it again. And that's why so many people don't pick those streets, those roads, those journeys, because they are uncomfortable. Change is hard. Growth is hard. We tell our kids to pay attention in school, do better, get that grade up, study, pay attention. But are you paying attention to what you're doing in your own life? Are you at the front of the class, or did you pick the seat in the back and just skirt by? I did skirt through microeconomics, I'm not going to lie, but I'm not willing to skirt through this one life I have. I don't care what anyone else thinks about what I do with my time on this earth. When I left my marriage, the road to leave was bumpy. It didn't look pretty from where I was standing at that intersection. I had to go down before I went up. I had to hit the valley before I could be at the peak. It was dark and lonely down there. There was debt and heartache and tears and loneliness and shame and disappointment and anger and resentment. It was scary as hell. But it led me to something beautiful. It led me to a whole new story I didn't think was possible. When I left that marriage, I said I never wanted to marry again. And 3 years later, I was remarried, living this new beautiful life. A second chance at love. When I left that full-time job last year, it was scary. Again, I had to hit the valley before I could stand on the peak, and I am still far from that peak. I'm in the trenches right now. Again, it's why I've built this coping mechanism of seeing the positive. It's how I'm surviving this and not turning back to that false comfort of being in a job I wasn't happy in, but that paid the bills and that looked good to everyone else. There's potholes on this road, puddles, places where I can't even find the damn road, but I just keep going. I keep going in the direction of the life I want to live, one foot in front of the other. Could I have stayed in that marriage where I didn't have to pay off all that debt alone, where we could have kept combining our salaries and living a financially comfortable life, where I could keep my kids with their mom and dad, where there was no divorce court and starting over with nothing? Could I have stayed in that job where I was getting a decent salary and benefits and knew I was set to live an okay life after retirement 30 years later? Yeah, hell yeah. I could have stayed there. And most do. And I'm not saying my career choice is any better than anyone else's. The entrepreneurial route is not easy, but I love what I do. So whatever your job is, I'm just saying, love what you do. I could have stayed on Comfy Street, but I decided to take Greatness Boulevard, as Trent would say, because I believe in my heart I have this higher purpose. I'm working for myself and my own success every day to be an example for my boys, but I'm also working for the people whose lives I know I'm meant to touch. I don't know how I'm supposed to completely yet, but I know I'm closer to my purpose than I was when I was on Comfy Street. I see these types of negative thoughts from people on their health and fitness journeys too. It's hard. I'm sore. I'm tired today. I ate like crap over the weekend. I drank too much last night. Those things are all a part of the journey, all a part of growing. The path to success is not beautiful. It's not perfect. You want a perfectly paved path, no bumps on the road? Then you stay on Easy Street. But if you're willing to keep pushing through towards your goals, despite all obstacles, I promise your destination will be way more beautiful than that stagnant life of mediocrity. I want a beautiful life, not a mediocre one, don't you? You have to do extraordinary things to have an extraordinary life. And I know many of my life choices are not mainstream, but I don't want a mainstream life. There will be setbacks and dark, lonely valleys, but what will matter is if you still continue on that same path despite those things. Your negative thoughts are creating your reality. Choose your reality. It's up to you. Start talking to yourself differently. Start seeing other people's success as proof that you can too. On the journey to your own success, you will grow in strength every time you push through all those bumps on the road. And those little level ups in strength will compound, and you won't even recognize the person once you get to that peak. And that's a good thing because we are meant to progress and grow. So start acting like the version of you standing at the peak today. What did he or she have to do to get there? People think positive thinking is just about seeing sunshine and rainbows all the time, but it's not. It's about the ability to see the negative but still push through because you can see the beauty on the other side of that struggle. You are creating a different reality in your mind. Energy flows where your attention goes. What are you giving your attention to today? The sunshine or the shadows? The choice is yours. Somebody can create beauty from the same struggles, the same hand you've been dealt. What are you choosing to do with your hand? All right, guys, some food for thought today, and I'm going to wrap up this episode. If you connected with it or have a friend who you think needs to hear this message, please share. And if you share it to your social media, make sure to tag me so I can personally thank you. I appreciate you guys so much for continuing to show up and connect with me. Forever grateful that I can use this platform to help others not feel alone in what they're going through. Raise your glasses, your coffee cup, whatever it is, and let's cheers, friends. Cheers to training our mind, to finding the good on the road to greatness, to knowing that positivity is a choice and that the happiness in our lives depends on the quality of our thoughts. Choose the road less traveled, my friends, because the view is beautiful up here. Until next episode, E.